I don't know how we're doing this, but we're gonna. Hi and welcome back to my channel. So in this video I will be trying to talk about the books that I've read from April till September. I think the last wrap up I did was February till March, so not done a wrap up for 4 months. I think 4 months? No, I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, we are doing a wrap up. I think I've read 15 books from what I've written down in my notepad. I've read 15 books and what I rated them. Some, I know why I rated them, what I rated them, because I left reviews, and the others, I don't think I left reviews. So I will try and remember why I rated them, what I rated them. I've said rated too many times, but yeah, let's get started. In no particular order, the first books I'll be talking about is the Arc of a Scythe series by Neil Shusterman. So it goes Scythe, Thunderhead and The Toll. This series might be up there with one of my favourite series of all time because I thoroughly enjoyed these books. I did not think that I was going to enjoy them, but I really did. This series is a dystopian series. In this world, humans can't die, no diseases, well, they can die, but it's not through natural, death or through illness or whatever. The job of that is the Scythes. The Scythes are the only one who can kill you. So in this story, we find out about Citra and Rowan. They come from two different types of families. They meet Scythe's Faraday. Scythe Faraday takes them on as apprentice. No Scythe has ever taken on two apprentices in a go. It's only just been one, and then you go to at the conclave, you have trials and you have to pass it, and then if you pass, you get the Scythe's ring, and you are a Scythe. A lot of people weren't happy that Scythe's Faraday took on two apprentices, so they did this thing where if only one of them can, so at the end of their year apprenticeship, they will be tested, and only Citra or Rowan can become a Scythe, and whoever becomes the Scythe has to gleam the other. That was the rule. So this was what started the whole thing, and it was just mind blowing. And there's no government. The only person that's in charge is a Thunderhead. Thunderhead is like a cloud, but it's like an AI, but it's got its own. You can tell that it was growing consciousness, and throughout the book, you see how much more consciousness it gains and how it tries to fix humanity in its own ways, because it thinks humanity is lost its way, because some of the sides are not really following the rules, but they are. But the Thunderhead can't really, once you're a Scythe, the Thunderhead can't really input anything. It's just watching. The Thunderhead has no business with the Scythedom. The Scythedom has no business with the Thunderhead. That's how it works. Throughout the whole book, you just see Citra and Rowan goes through this whole thing. They go through a lot, okay, a lot. The first book, I wasn't really sure if I was going to enjoy it. I was reading it, I got a bit bored because I was like, when is the real thing going to happen? And then when Scythe's Faraday dies or self-gleams, so because obviously the only people that can gleam is the Scythes, but because the Scythes can't gleam each other, you can only self-gleam if you want to die. So once Scythes self-gleam, you can't come back to life, so you're gone. And Scythe's Faraday self-gleams himself, thinks it's going to stop the whole Citra and Rowan, apprenticeship, and they'll, go back to their normal lives, but it didn't stop that. The rule is the rule, so they've got to carry it on. And they blame, and it was just a lot, okay? I can't remember it fully, but I hope I explained that right. But I really enjoy this story. I think the favourite one is the Thunderhead, because the Thunderhead is my favourite character, because you get to see it from this AI computer thing that's in charge of everything, looks at everything, is like basically Big Brother, watches everything, and you get to see it gain consciousness, because that's how well I can put it. It does gain consciousness, and the lengths it would go to try and fix humanity, because he is right. Humanity in this book was just gone, and it needed to be done. And the way he does it, the Thunderhead does it, just wow. I don't know. I just loved it so much. I gave Scythe, 3 stars, because I was a bit bored, because I think it took more than half the book to get interesting, so I was a bit bored by push through. And then I gave this a 5 stars, and I enjoyed it so much. Okay, I loved it so much. My favorite read, okay, out of the series, my favorite. And then I gave this the total 4.5 stars, because even though it was good, I felt like the ending did let it down a bit. I felt like the ending was a bit lackluster, and like there was this all build up about like on how, like, you know, to get rid of Goddard, who's the villain of this book. I don't remember if I talked about him, but Goddard is the villain of this book, and I just felt like the way it ended was just a bit lackluster, because it was like the ending of the Thunderhead built up such a, you know, just such a, it gave me such a high expectation, and I don't know, it's just, I feel like, because it was just so good, I had such a high expectation of how this was going to turn out. So when it didn't give me that, it was good, it wasn't that it was bad, it was good, it was just not, it was a bit anticlimactic the way it ended. Overall, if I was to rate the whole series, overall rating will be 4.75, just because of the ending. The next book I'll be talking about is Four Eids and a Funeral by Farida Abike Imide and Adiba Jagida. Farida is the author of Ace of Spades that everyone loves. I have not read it yet. And Adiba is the author of the Do's and Do Nots of For Love, of Love. I can't remember. I have it. That's the only book I know from her that I have read, even though I have just been sent an arc of her new book, Rani Chaudhry Must Die. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, this book, I gave it 4.5 stars. It was really good. It's a YA rom-com. I don't know. Is it rom-com? I don't know if it's rom-com, but it's YA, it's romance, and it's good. You meet Tiwa and Saeed. They were best friends, but then Saeed ended up going up to this posh, fancy boarding school, and Tiwa stays in their hometown, and they had a falling out. We don't know why they fell out, and they had to come together because their favourite librarian had died, and while they were going to the funeral and being to the funeral, you know, bickering and whatnot, they saw that their mosque in the community had burned down, and Eid was in, I don't know, maybe a couple of days or a couple of months, and they had to fix it. So they had to come together to fix it, and there's just a lot going on in Tiwa's life with her mom and dad not being together, and then in Saeed's life because he's studying something that he doesn't want to study. So he's studying medicine he's in school studying pre-med, even though he doesn't want to study medicine. He's good at drawing and animation, so he wants to go study animation in this really well-known animation school, I think. And anyway, it's all of that together, how they come together to save their mosque, how they rebuild their friendship, and obviously leads to romance. And it's awesome. It's really good. I just didn't give it a 5 stars because it enjoyed my life. I feel like for you to get 5 stars, you have to like alter my brain chemistry, and it unfortunately did not alter my brain chemistry. So 4.5 stars. It's very enjoyable, so you should read it. So the next book is Drama with Dreams by Gabby Burton. It's the second book and the conclusion to the duology. The first book is Sing Me to Sleep, and I think I did a review on that on my other video, so check it out because I can't remember what I said. I think I rated it a 4.5 or 5 stars, but I rated this 4.5 star. Looking back or thinking back, I think I did enjoy this one a lot more than I did the first one. So if I did give Sing Me to Sleep 5 stars, I'm gonna have to deduce it back to 4 stars because I think this is a lot more better. I only gave this 4.5 and not 5 stars, again because it did not alter my brain chemistry, and also because I did find some parts of it a bit tedious. If you are into siren, mermaid, kind of, you know, if you were an H2O just add water girly, this duology is for you, okay? It's for you. It's just a lot more unaliving than H2O just add water, if you get. This one follows Sorsha again, and at this time, you know, Sorsha is now technically on the run for multiple murders now, and they are looking for her. But now that Hayes is also a king, Hayes is trying to protect her and trying not to get her caught, so they've got to put on this front that, you know, they're not you know, they've got to put up a front that, you know, they're not working together, but they are. But Eids and Sasha are still having a bit of a problem because, you know, Sasha is a siren and, you know, did kind of technically lie and trick her way into working at the palace, I guess. But I like that Sasha and Eids as a character individually were a bit more fleshed out than they were in the first book and in this second book, because obviously Sasha goes across the barrier and into the other kingdoms and meets other people, so we're introduced to more new characters, new creatures, so it made the book a bit more interesting. And Carrick, my heart, I can't believe Gabby did that to him. I can't believe she did that to him. Anyway, I think everyone should go read it because it's wholesome and the duology is completed. It's all done, so you don't have to wait. And then the next book I'll be talking about is The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Schaefer? Don't quote me. Right, can you see? Elliot Schaefer? Yeah. At first when I started this book, right, the reason I bought this book, I've always wanted to read this book, but I just never got it. So, and then I got an arc of the second book and I was like, oh, so I need to read the first book. I ordered the first book, I read it. When I started the book, I was a bit confused because I was like, what am I reading? Because I didn't get it. Okay, I don't get it, I'm a bit lost. But once I got into it and the twist, yeah, beautiful. It follows two people, and so there's two people from two different federation, I guess, and they are on a mission to so there's Ambrose and there is, oh, forgot the name. There's Ambrose and Kodiak. Ambrose and Kodiak, yeah? And they, Ambrose's sister sends off a distress signal because they're trying to find this new planet or whatever, and she sends off a distress signal and Ambrose is they're trying to find her. So they send Ambrose and Kodiak on this mission to go retrieve her sister and find this new planet. And the way this book started wasn't that way. The way this book started is Ambrose woke up and it looked like he had been in there'd been some kind of accident on the ship. So he was being restored by the AI, or like being treated by the AI on board, and the AI then goes and tells him that there's another person on the ship, but the other person doesn't want to talk to him or doesn't want to interact with him or whatever and whatnot, and they hate each other, and it's just them trying to work out what was going on because Ambrose doesn't remember what happened before. He doesn't remember like anything that happened before him waking up in the recovery, like the med bay. So he doesn't remember when the launch happened, how it happened, how long he's been on this. So every time we ask, you know, how long till this journey is over, the AI doesn't give a very good answer. You just know that there's a bunch of tasks they need to complete before the end of the journey. Anyway, they go down to this thing to try and repair it because it's part of the task. Ambrose come across this section and it's got blood, and Ambrose is like, whose blood is this? And it turns out that they're not the only one on the ship. And then all of this happens and another accident happens while they were trying to fix whatever they found, and then Ambrose wakes up again in that same situation. The same thing happens again, finds out there's another person on board, they don't want to talk to each other, and then like it's like he's like reliving the thing. So I was a bit lost, like what's going on? Is he like reliving his, you know, is he stuck in a time loop? But it turns out no, it turns out that they are clones. The real Ambrose and Kodiak aren't even on the bloody ship. They are on whatever planet they are. So they've cloned them, they've put them on this ship because this journey is very, very, very long journey that a human being would not survive the journey because they will die of old age. And there's a bunch of tasks that needs to be completed. I mean, the tasks weren't even that necessary. It's just to give them something to do because it's just a very long journey. So they'd build a clone, and the clone would always die at certain points, and then they'll reload the new clones, and you know the journey will continue. And they will tell them that they have certain amount of tasks to do, but then they actually never complete the task. Or if they do complete the task, they will kill them with some unfortunate whatever happens. One of the clones, one of the Ambrose and Kodiak clones, then realized what was happening. So they started recording each other and leaving notes for the next clones because they figured out what was happening. And by the end of the book, only one set of clones actually like made it. They tried to outsmart the AI because the AI obviously has been set to a certain thing, so they try to outsmart the AI, but it actually didn't work, so it was backfiring. But anyway, they make it to this planet. Turns out that there was actually no mission, and Amro's sister probably didn't send off that distress signal, and or that she probably died, and they were just trying to inhabit another planet that was just too far for them to reach. And I was mind blown. This book was just so good. I don't know if I explained it well, because I'm not really good at explaining my books well, but I gave it a 5. I think I gave it 5 stars, because like it did alter my brain chemistry, because I had to think, because I was just like, what am I reading? So the Amrose clone and Kodiak clones, I think the ones that made it to the planet ended up having to, because they remembered a lot, so they got rid of the other clones but made it to the planet. And then at the end of the book, they found out that the section of the ship that they were not allowed to enter had a lot of frozen embryos. So they figured out that the actual mission was them to start a new lives on this new planet, and start a new, like, you know, basically colonize a new planet. And you get to see like Ambrose and Kodiak actually like fall in love as well, so it was very cute. So if you're looking for sci-fi, romance, cute, whatever, this is your book, okay? I mean, it was a bit scary because the AI was a bit batshit, so yeah, I recommend this. It's very good. I don't know if my description is good enough, but you should read it because I said so. I haven't read the second book yet though, so I will get to it. Don't know when. And the next book I read is The Dating Countdown by N.G. Peltier. I like the book cover. It was an arc I received from Little Brown Book Group UK. I didn't enjoy this book. I gave it I enjoyed it when I first started reading it, but I think I might have to take my my ratings down from 2.5 to 2 stars, because I got bored. I got bored, and I felt like the author didn't, I feel like this is mean to say, didn't really know what to do with a sapphic story. Because the other 2 books followed Maxine's brother, so I felt like the author, I don't know what pronouns to go by, so they go by she. I felt like she did not know what to do with sapphic characters. I felt like I got bored. Like, outside of the smut scenes, there was just nothing. I felt like the characters were just a bit two-dimensional. There was nothing to them. They had no growth individually or even together. I got, oh my god, I feel so mean, but I just got bored. Like, even thinking back to it, I'm even gonna bring it down to 1.5 stars because it just was not it. I was bored. I felt myself like forcing myself to finish. And I know people are gonna come here and be like, Hamida, you don't like romance anyway. But I felt like, even though even if like romance isn't my favorite, like, not that I don't like romance, I do like romance, I just prefer my romance not to be the main plot of the story. Even though I'm not a big fan of that, I can appreciate when something is well done, and I just feel like this isn't well done. And I'm just gonna keep saying it, I just don't feel like the author knew what to do with the sapphic characters or how to write sapphic characters, and it just showed. I've not read the other 2 books, so I'm not really sure how good those are. But to me, this one, no. I will be deducting points. I will be giving it 1.5 stars because I just felt a bit bored. There was nothing to the characters. Nothing about them was interesting to keep me going. And it was just lackluster, and sorry. That's how much I can say without sounding too mean. It just didn't give, and yeah, and it's not because I don't like romance as my main plot. Even if I don't like romance as my main plot, I can appreciate good romance book, and unfortunately this just wasn't it. Don't come for me. The next book is The Sticky Note Manifesto of Aisha Agarwal. I think that's why, by an author called Ambika. I can't remember her last name, but I'll put the book here. And I loved this book. I gave it, again, I gave it 4 stars. It was enjoyable, it was cute, it was a coming of age story, YA story. So there's Aisha, she's applied to a school in she's applied to Stanford University, I think that's what it's called. And in the application form, they have to write an essay where you have to write about the one time you did something outside of your comfort zone. And Aisha doesn't do anything outside of her comfort zone. Aisha she doesn't like change. That's what I gathered from the book. She does not like change. Anyway, at school, she's very insecure about the fact that she is she Indian? I think she's Indian. Yeah, she's very insecure about that. She doesn't invite her friends over to her house because she's embarrassed that her house is not like prestigious or like amazing. Or like the fact that it smells of like a certain like smell, and like, I don't know, she's just very embarrassed about who she is in general. So her friends like don't really know much about her and don't come to her house ever. She's never invited anyone over. And she was friends with this guy when they were in primary, so when they got to secondary school they became academic rivals, and then they stopped talking because he ended up like going to live in the rich side, I guess. And then they never spoke. And then one day winter homecoming was coming, and the guy ended up asking her to be her date, and she was very excited because she's had a crush on this guy, yada yada yada. Apparently everyone has a crush on this guy. Anyway, she said yeah, and on the day he called to cancel, and she was upset and stranded, so she ended up booking an Uber to go home, and then just got in a rando's car. She thought it was an Uber, but no, before then there was a woman, an old lady who she meets outside, who she was like obviously talking to, and the old lady was like, oh, I'm waiting for my friend's son to come and pick me up, but he's late. And Aisha was like, I'm waiting for my Uber. And then the old lady got a bit impatient and left before her friend's son came to pick her up. And when he arrived, Aisha got in the car thinking it was her Uber driver. And then they started driving, and then I think 5 minutes later the guy was like, oh, I'm so sorry that, you know, I'm late, yada yada. And Aisha was like, oh no, wait, I'm not in an Uber. And instead of her to confess, she didn't. They carried on because, you know, she's trying to write an essay, she's trying to do something outside of her comfort zone. But anyway, it all went wrong because he asked her what's going on, because she, like, I don't know if this boy did not know who his grandfather's friend was. I don't know how old he thought the person who was gonna pick up was, because Aisha is not an old lady, so I don't understand how the mix-up happened. And anyway, she had not a mental breakdown, she had a breakdown. She cried about, you know, how, you know, she was just upset. And she was upset, she was stressed about, you know, this essay as well, and told him this and that. And then it found out that he's going to a rival school, and he's very good at maths. He's very good at all this stuff, but he doesn't try because he thinks, what's the point of trying if you're not gonna get there? So they made a deal. He would help her do spontaneous things outside of her comfort zone. And no, actually, he wasn't good at maths. He was awful at maths. I think that's what he was feeling, calculus or whatever. And they made a deal. He would help her do the spontaneous things out of her comfort zone, so she has something to write for Stanford, and she would help him pass his maths so he can go to the university he wants to go to. And then it turns out that he did know. He just, like, if he tried, he would, you know, he's good, but he lost his dad. So after he lost his dad, he just kind of gave up on trying for things, because it's like, what's the point? He lost motivation. He doesn't see any point in trying if you're going to fail or you're going to die anyway, because he was like, life is too short. That's how we saw it. Life is too short, so what's the point of, you know, certain things if we're all gonna die anyway? That's what his way of thinking was. So they really did help each other, and then they grew close, and obviously the romance blossomed and everything, and it was just so cute. And I loved it. I enjoyed it. I think everyone should go read it. It was really well done. It was a debut novel as well. For a debut novel, it was very good. I enjoyed it. Like, I wasn't bored. I loved all the characters, the parents, the stuff like that. Like, I felt like Aisha is a lot, like, very relatable. Like, they both are, but for like for the ethnic girlies, ethnic people, a lot of people are very, well, a lot of people tend to be insecure of who they are or where they come from. So she is very relatable. So, and then same with Quinton, that's what the guy's name is, remembered. That's also relatable because when, you know, so many bad things has happened and you have somebody like his grandfather who's always putting you down or comparing you to your dad who's died, by the way, you just don't want to, like, what's the point? So like they're both relatable in their own ways. So I just felt like it's just awesome. It's a wholesome coming of age story. So I think everyone should go pick it up because it's really good. The next book is Foxglove by Adeline Grace. I read Belladonna. Let me set the scene. I listened to Belladonna, okay, and I did not like it. But looking back, when I finished listening to the book, I was like, I didn't see the hype. Then I saw people like hyping it up even more. So I was like, actually, I've got the physical memory, the physical tenderness, because I don't like the narrator's voice, and the way the narrator narrated the characters were just irritated my soul. So I went from giving it 2 stars when I listened to the audio to giving it like 4 stars when I read the physical copy. Enjoyed it, excited to read the next book, Foxglove. Even don't know what Belladonna is. Belladonna, it follows Cigna, and Cigna can see death, right? She has this power where she can take life. She's got death's power, and she's been able to see death forever. And Death is a character. And they solved mystery of, you know, what happened to Cigna and what happened to, you know, a certain character in the first book. And they fell in love. Yay, yada yada, as every romantasy goes. So when I saw that in the book they were going to be solving mysteries again, I was like, you know, why not? I'm going to give it. And they were going to introduce Death's brother, who's Fate. And, you know, and he was supposed to be the villain, I guess. When I got to it, I tried to listen to audiobook again, hated it, and so I read the Kindle version and still hated it. I gave it a 1.5 because it was atrocious. Cigna just talks a lot in this book. There was a lot more talking and less action, and I hate that. Like, you want to sort something out. You're like, oh, we need to fix this, we need to sort this, we need to find who killed this, we need to do this, we need to, but she wasn't doing anything. She was saying we need to, but she actually wasn't doing anything. That. 2, Death was barely in this book, and that really irritated my soul because that was what I came for, Cigna and Death, and it wasn't there. I mean, it was, but just like not a lot. Because Fate ended up doing this thing where Cigna could not see Death and they could not talk. So half the time, Death wasn't even here. So that annoyed me. Death was not in the book. Annoyed me. 3. What's his name? Fate. Fate was described as this person who's like powerful. He has the, you know, his power. He's called Fate, so his power, he can change people's fate. Fate. And he just read as a pathetic, grumpy man who, if he doesn't get what he wants, throws a temper tantrum, basically. And I do not like that in characters, because you're supposed to be like, he was supposed to be a villain. That's how I saw it as, like the way it was described, but he wasn't giving villain, it was giving pathetic. And I just wasn't here for it at all. Was not here for it. I just found it boring. And oh my god, the one thing that annoyed me with the narrator is when the narrator narrates Death's voice, Fate's voice, Elijah's voice, these are the other characters, who else, Byron's voice, they all sounded the same. All 4 guys in this book sounded the same, and she tries to make them sound like they are mysterious, and by doing that she just lowers her voice. She's like, oh, Cigna. No. I was not digging it at all. The narrator irritated my soul. So that as well. But yeah, Fate was a pathetic villain. And the plot twist wasn't really a plot twist. The only person that actually had their head on and had sense in this whole thing was Eliza. I think that's what she's... Eliza? She called Eliza? Blythe. Blythe. She's the only one who had common sense, who actually wanted to fix it and get her dad out of a death sentence. because her dad had been accused of killing somebody and it wasn't her dad, and she was the only one doing things, even though she'd go about it the wrong way. She was annoying and she was like everywhere and she was irritating my soul. She was actually the only one doing something and trying to get things fixed. So you know what, Blythe saved this book. I'm gonna give this to Blythe. She saved this book. Everyone else, no. It was a mess. No offense, it was a mess of a book. I did not enjoy it one bit, and I know a lot of people enjoy this series, but it's not for me, so I will not be continuing and reading a third book called Wisteria. This next book, I don't know how I'm going to describe it, because personally I had no clue what was happening in this book. Okay, I had absolutely not a clue what was happening in this book, not once, not even at the end. But what I can tell you is the book, beautifully written, okay, beautifully written. Even though I didn't understand what was going on, I just felt like the writing was just so poetic, and I love that. Okay, so I don't know much what to tell you about it, but the book is, I feel like a lot of people will know this because a lot of people say the same thing, is this is how you lose a time war. And it follows two spies, and they have to communicate because they're on the opposite ends and they're fighting each other, and they have to communicate and they fall in love, and it's sapphic, and I don't get it. Like, they go, one's in the future, one's in the past, they go in each other's futures or past or different timelines, and they meet and they communicate, but in different ways, and you know, but they don't want to get caught, and then they get caught, and then it was just so confusing that I don't know how to describe what this book is to you guys. So you will just have to go Google what This Is How to Lose a Time War is about. But I gave it 3 stars because it was just beautifully written, and I'm allowed to give a book 3 stars just because it was beautifully written, even though I don't understand what was happening in the book. Yeah. So that's all I can say about that book. The next book is sorry, I've got a pen because I'm ticking it off as I go, because I've got my list here, okay? So I'm ticking off as I go. The next book is part of the Vitali Brothers series, so it's your Mafia, Dark Romance, MM books. The Say I Do is the 3rd book, and it follows Benito and Harlow. Benito is the head of a mobster, the Vitali. I want to say he's the head of the Vitali, like, family, head mobster, mafia, yeah. And Harlow is part of a Yakuza family, which is basically mafia but Japanese. Anyway, it follows the story, and it's marriage of convenience. It's supposed to be a deal, and they hate each other, and it's just how they fall in love, and it's your typical dark romance mafia story, if you get. And I enjoyed it. I loved Harlow and Benito. Dan. Harlow is unhinged, so is Benito. They're all unhinged, but they are my favorite couples, and they are my favorite, and I enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 star. I think 4 star. I think that's the highest I've rated the series so far that I've read. And yeah, Harlow, I don't know what else to say because they were very good. The next book is You and Me by Tal Bauer. I can't really remember much about this because I read it, I think like it was the book I read in April. So I can't really remember much about it. I just know it's again MM romance. It's by awakening, friends to lovers. Yeah, it was just another, again, wholesome book. It's a bit sad, a bit of angst. It's a bit sad. I think I shed a bit of tears. It's cute, and it's fun. And I think I gave it 3 stars because, like, it was enjoyable, it was good, but it was just mid. It's like you're not in a bad way, but your mediocre romance that you would read in general. That just, there's no, like, it's not amazing and it's not bad. It's just there. And that doesn't mean that doesn't mean it's not a great book. It's a great book. It's a great read. It's just in the middle. I completed the trilogy for the Broken Earth series, so the last book is The Stone Sky, and it's still following what they called, still following, why have I forgotten the names? They're called Esun and Nasun. Esun's the mother, Nasun is it's the daughter. If you've seen my other video, I spoke about the other 2 books, the Broken Out, the 5th season. I can't remember the second book, the Sky Gate, the Stone Gate. I can't remember the Obelisk Gate. The Obelisk Gate. I gave it 4 stars because I did find it to be, the book was very, I found the 3rd book a bit boring. I was upset that Esun ended up becoming a stone person, like, you know, the stone people, and obviously essentially dying. In general, I just felt like it was a bit anticlimactic in my opinion, and I feel like the Obelisk Gate, again, the 2nd book, is probably my favorite book out of all 3. So if I was to rate it overall, it would be 4.5 star, the whole series. I enjoyed it, but it was the final book that lets the whole series down. The last book, last but not the least, definitely not the least, the best book that I've read between the month of April till September. This is the moment we have all been waiting for. My only 5-star read in this whole list is The Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wang. And oh my god, this book ate. Oh my god, this book, like, this is one of the few times where I will say that Book Talk did its thing. It did, okay? People were raving about this on TikTok, and I was like, oh, here we go again. I just don't know why I picked it up. I ended up picking it up, and best decision of my life, because it was the best book. It was so good. It follows Takeru, Misaki, Mamoru, and Takashi. So Takeru and Misaki are a couple, and they have their kid Mamoru. You meet Mamoru, and they live in this little Kaigan, in this village called Kaigan, and they are essentially warriors. They've got like elemental powers like water, air and stuff, and you meet Mamoru, who was 12, 13 at the time, and meets this new boy who's called a foreigner because he's come from outside of their little village of Kaigan. And this guy was just spewing stuff, being like, you know, you guys are being used by the government because you guys are a bit naive, you're a bit, you know, you're still a bit stuck in the past, you're not being told the real information, basically propaganda. And Mamoru was very upset and was like, you know, why are you spewing like all of this? But then obviously started seeing signs that it was true. So he goes to his mom, Misaki, and Misaki was like, she didn't deny it because she was aware, because she also studied outside of Kaigan but came back to Kaigan. And so she's aware, because when Misaki was younger as well, she was a bit rebellious. She was like, she was a sword fighter, and in Kaigan you can't be a sword fighter as a woman and stuff like that. So she's aware. So when she married Takeru, you know, because, you know, family married into family and stuff like that, you know, to better your family and whatnot. So she married Takeru and gave up her fighting rebellion phase or whatever. So when Mamoru started asking questions, she was telling Mamoru, like, you know, don't let anyone hear you, because, you know, you might be like, you know, you're not supporting the emperor, I think that's what it's called. And, you know, all of this happened, and so they keep thinking that hurricanes was happening and like ruining the other like countries or village around them, and the government will cover it up, being like, we're helping and yada yada yada, but no one's allowed to go inside this village that has been destroyed. But then it turns out that no, that wasn't the case. They were just lying, and there was gonna be a war. Oh my god, it was so sad. It was so sad, the amount of people that like it dealt with death. One of the characters getting essayed, Misaki having to, you know, step her foot down because obviously her husband didn't listen to her, because again, in this world, women aren't allowed to like be outspoken. You can't really tell your opinion to your husband, and he'd listen and stuff like that. And it was just so good. I don't know if I'm explaining this right. It was so good. You get to see Misaki come into herself again and be like, you know what, no, I'm a very smart, intelligent woman who can sword fight. By the end of the book, Misaki and Takeru, her husband, who was a recluse, didn't speak, tends to just hibernate and don't talk and doesn't want to listen to whatever Misaki say, and he's like a follower. Like, He's one of those people that follows the rules even if the consequences of the rules are bad. But he wants to follow the rules, and that is his flaw. And cost him his kid because Mamoru ended up dying and it was only 13. It's just so sad because I don't know why I didn't expect Mamoru to die, but he died. But early on in the book he died, and I was very upset. I cried my eyes out because it was just so sad, and it was only 13 and his friends have died, and it's just it was so sad. And then Misaki's friend that got essayed and then found out that her husband had died as well, and then found out that she's pregnant by the guy who essayed her. And you know, my only flaw with this book that really aggravates me, that really upset my soul, is like whenever like a woman gets essayed and, you know, gets pregnant, or even they don't get pregnant, it always ends with them unaliving themselves. I feel like we need to find a way of, you know, showing that women can get through it, and the only way to get through it isn't just to unalive themselves. That's my only like pick, like my only flaw, like thing that annoyed me about this book. Aside from that, it was well written. You get to see Misaki like become this confident woman who's able to give her husband advice, and her husband actually listened and stuff like that. And you get to see Takuro also like, you know, pay attention to his wife and like listen to other people's advice, and it's just not a follower, and actually questions when instructions are being given, actually questions, you know, things that happen. But for them to get to this point, they had to lose a lot of people, which was very sad. Like it still hurt, like still upsets me that Mamoru died. But this book is just so good if you're into elemental powers, like, you know, Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's for you. If you're into like Japanese historical stories, for you. It's just beautifully written. It's well written. Just go in, read the trigger warnings before you start, because trigger warning a lot, and you'll enjoy it. I enjoyed this book. I fell in love with this book, and I can't wait. I have ordered maybe like 2 special editions of this. I don't even have a physical copy of this book because I think it was self-published, and I've ordered 2 special editions because I'm obsessed. I want a lot of people to read this book. So yeah, I did it, guys. I completed it. Those are the books I read between April to September 2024. I did it. I don't know how long the video is gonna be, but we did it. We got through it. I hope I explained some of these books right, and I gave you reasons why I rated them what I rated them, even though I didn't remember like what some of these books were about or why I rated them what I rated them. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I tried my best, and yeah, that's all. Until next time, bye.